Hello students, let us start with chapter 2, Microorganisms, Friend and Foe. Now what are microorganisms? Microorganisms are very tiny organisms that cannot be seen by the naked eye. They are classified into 4 groups. That is bacteria, fungi, algae and protozoans. Another group of microscopic organisms are the viruses. These viruses do not have a cell membrane. Therefore, they do not show any sign of life when they are outside the body of the host. Once they enter the body of the host, they take up the machinery of the host and start replicating, thus show signs of life. The common diseases that are caused by viruses are common cold, influenza, the latest and very much in news disease that is COVID-19, Nipah, dengue, chikungunya. All these are caused due to viruses. The examples for diseases that are caused by bacteria are tuberculosis and typhoid. Examples for diseases caused by fungi are different types of skin infections and the diseases caused by protozoans. Examples are malaria and dysentery. There are also different diseases caused by algae. Now let us see the different examples of these various groups of microorganisms. Bacteria, example, Lactobacillus, Bacillus anthracis, etc. Example for algae, Spirogyra chlamydomonas. Example for protozoan, amoeba, paramecium. And example for fungi are Rhizopus, Aspergillus, Penicillium, etc. Now, where do microorganisms live? Microorganisms are found in almost all types of environment. That is, in the hot deserts, in very cold climatic conditions, in hot springs, in marshy lands, etc. They are also found in the body of other living organisms such as animals, plants and human beings. Let us now discuss how these microorganisms are useful to us, or in other words, how are they our friends? First of all, it is used to make curd. The bacteria Lactobacillus converts milk into curd. When we add a spoon of curd into milk, the milk is turned into curd and it becomes sour. So, Lactobacillus helps in the making of curd. The unicellular fungi, that is yeast, helps in the baking industry. This is because yeast reproduces rapidly and produces carbon dioxide during respiration. This carbon dioxide forms bubbles of this gas in the dough and thus increases the volume of the dough. This is the basis of baking industry. Therefore, yeast is very useful in the baking of bread, cake, pastries, etc. Yeast is also used on a large scale in making of alcohol, because yeast, when it reacts with sugar, it undergoes a process known as fermentation, and thus alcohol plus carbon dioxide and a little bit of energy is released. This process, fermentation, was discovered by a scientist called Louis Pasteur. So what is fermentation? Conversion of sugar into alcohol in presence of yeast. Yeast acts upon the natural sugar that is present in grains such as paddy, wheat, barley, etc. and is widely used in the making of wine, beer and other alcoholic beverages. Microorganisms are very useful in making of medicines. Especially medicines such as antibiotics are extracted from certain bacteria and fungi. Now what are antibiotics? Antibiotics are medicines that help to kill the microorganism or stop the growth of microorganisms. Examples for antibiotics are erythromycin, streptomycin, tetracycline, penicillin, etc. Penicillin is extracted from a fungus known as Penicillium. This was discovered by a scientist known as Alexander Fleming. Antibiotics are very good against bacterial diseases. So, antibiotics are given to animals, birds, human beings, etc. to fight against various bacterial diseases. Now we should take certain precautions while taking antibiotics. First of all, we should always consult a doctor before taking antibiotics and follow his instructions. Once a dosage is prescribed, we should complete the dosage. And not only this, we should not take antibiotics when not needed, or else it will become less effective. Antibiotics are not effective against viruses. This is because viruses do not have biochemical pathways. Now, whenever our body is attacked by pathogens, certain substances are produced in the body which fight against these pathogens. These substances which are produced in the body and fight against pathogens are known as antibodies. These antibodies remain in our body throughout our lifetime, and they remember the pathogen if there is a second attack. Now, how do vaccines work? Artificially weakened or dead microbes are injected into a healthy body. This causes a mild infection in the healthy body, and to fight against this infection, antibodies are produced in our body. And as I told you, these antibodies, they remain in our body throughout our lifetime. And if we are really attacked by the pathogen, these antibodies remember the pathogen and fight against it. Thus, or this is how the vaccines work. Edward Jenner found the vaccine for smallpox. Our government has a very good program for vaccination against various diseases, especially in infants and children. Whenever children are born, they are given a health card where the name of the disease, the time at which the vaccine has to be given, everything is mentioned. and the date at which it is given. All these are methodically recorded in the health card, and it is maintained, it is supposed to be maintained by the parents and diligently followed. This helps to fight against various deadly diseases. Another important program that is launched by the government is the Pulse Polio program. This is to fight against polio. It is an oral vaccine that is administered to infants. There are vaccines available for various diseases such as chickenpox, hepatitis, tuberculosis, etc. Next, microorganisms help to increase the soil fertility. There are a group of plants known as leguminous plants. These leguminous plants, in their roots, have nodules, and harbored in the nodules are a bacteria known as Rhizobium. Rhizobium has the ability to fix atmospheric nitrogen directly into the soil. So this atmospheric nitrogen is fixed into the soil and converted to soluble forms such as nitrates and nitrites, which are absorbed by the roots of plants. Not only this, there is another group of organisms known as cyanobacteria or blue-green algae. They can also fix atmospheric nitrogen directly into the soil. Thus, it helps to increase the soil fertility. And lastly, they help in the recycling of nutrients and also the cleaning up of the environment. First of all, let us refer to activity 2.3. We need to take two pots, label them A and B. Pot A, we have to put plant waste, and pot B, we have to put plastic cover, tin cans, etc. and leave this set up as such for 2 to 3 weeks. After 2 to 3 weeks, when we see both the pots, we can see that in pot A, the plant waste has almost disappeared. In pot B, the waste, that is plastic, tin cans, etc. remain as such. What can we conclude from this? Microorganisms such as fungi and bacteria have acted upon the plant waste, and decay has occurred, and thus it mixes with the soil. So, microorganisms help in the cleaning up of the environment. Imagine the situation when heaps of garbage are lying all around, and if there are no microorganisms, a day will come when the whole earth is filled with garbage, and it will be a breeding ground for various insects such as mosquitoes, flies, etc., spread of disease and also foul smell. These microorganisms help us a lot by cleaning the environment. Not only that, the complex organic substances, they are acted upon by these microorganisms and convert them into simple inorganic substances. These simple inorganic substances are released back into the soil, and they are absorbed by the roots of the plants. Thus, the nutrient cycle is re-established. That means replenishment of soil fertility. Therefore, the microorganisms play a very important role in keeping the environment clean. The plastic and the tin cans, they could not be acted upon by these microorganisms because they are non-biodegradable substances. Therefore, they are harmful for the environment. While the plant waste, it underwent decay and decomposition because they are biodegradable substances. They can be acted upon by microorganisms. Thus, we have seen all the advantages of microorganisms. Once again, to repeat, in the making of curd, baking industry, making of alcohol, getting various important medicines, increasing the soil fertility, and also cleaning up of the environment. Thus, we have come to the end of today's session. Thank you.